早上好，中国. So for the first part of this video, I want you guys to look at some of the buildings behind me. So by the way, I'm staying at Jilin city right now. This is a tier 4 city right now, tier 4 out of 5. So, you know, this is a very small city for Chinese standards. Just look at the riverfront skyline, and we'll continue to walk that way. You guys will see a lot more tall buildings, and you can see looking that way as well. There are just all these tall apartment buildings. By the way, these are all residential complexes. They're everywhere along the other side of the riverfront as well. So I want to also roll this clip. So I took this clip as I was taking the bus into the subdivision where I was born. So basically all these subdivisions are getting closer and closer to the city. They're being connected by all these brand new high-rise buildings. Many of these are 50, 60, 70 stories high. By the way, just to want to make something clear, I'm not in Beijing, I'm not in Shenzhen, I'm not in Chongqing, right? I'm not in a mega city. This is a very small city for Chinese standards. This is tier 4 out of 5. So, and look at all of these high rises, right? And you guys want to talk about, you know, the reason why, you know, houses in Canada, houses in the United States are so expensive, because there's not enough housing, right? Well, how come China can build all of these houses, right? They can pop out all of these buildings like it's nothing. Like look at you know, just the number of units they can build within the course of a couple years. They can put out these buildings like it's nothing, right? People say, oh, many of these buildings, they are just they don't pass the safety inspections. They're completely 100% not safe. So my mom, she bought her property in the city of Jilin, and she bought, you know, one of these basically condos in China, and she's had that place for almost 20 years now. Nothing has ever happened. But here's the thing: how come the United States and Canada, right, you have this massive housing shortage due to the massive influx of brand new immigrants, you know, international students, whether it's legal or illegal, temporary foreign workers. So there's a population explosion, and these countries, the Western countries, they can't build these homes fast enough. So how come China can build all of them so fast? Well, it comes down to a few points. I'll keep it very simple, right? I'll show you guys this thing. Look at this thing. This is called 三元桥. It's very impressive, right? So 三元桥, the literal translations, 3-round bridge. But look at you know, just how complex this whole thing is, how crazy it is. By the way, you know, if you decide to visit China, if you want to do a tour in Beijing, in the capital, if you landed at the airport, there's a train that takes you from the airport to the city, because the airport is in very remote locations, not in the city. And one of the stops you must pass while you're on the train, which is taking you from the airport to the center of the city in Beijing, it's called 三元桥. So you must pass this stop. You will be able to see this intersection. Look at how impressive this thing is, right? How long did you guys think it took to build 三元桥 for the Chinese workers? What do you think? 3 months? 2 months? 1 month? No, 43 hours. Yes, it took the Chinese workers 43 hours to build 三元桥. You see those buildings behind me? These can go up literally, right? The project can start, let's say, in 2024, right? Right now it's towards the end of 2024, and by the end of 2025, the whole project is going to be complete. All of these buildings, they can build them in no time. And yes, of course, China has issues, I mentioned before. So there's something like, I believe, 85 million empty apartments in China. This is due to basically the collapsing birth rate. Obviously, the Chinese government thought, you know, these places, these now are turning into ghost cities. They thought that, you know, they could be filled with the next generation of millennials and Gen Zs, and eventually Gen Alpha. But unfortunately, so many people are just not having children. But I think, you know, the West can definitely look at this playbook from China. If the Chinese workers can do this, why can't the Americans and Canadian workers build these buildings at the exact same rate? Why is it so painful? But unfortunately, I mentioned this before, right? On average, just the Asian work culture, they work way more hours, and they work a lot harder. And also, there's no diversity, equity, inclusion. It's 100% BS. You show up to work, you get your job done, right? And if you choose to just smoke a cigarette once every 30 minutes, you want to slack off while looking at your cell phone, you want to play some video games, well, your ass is going to be fired. That's it, right? China has 1.4 billion people. If you don't want to work, they will find somebody else to take your job. And that's why they can put up these buildings so fast. Listen, no country in this world has ever escaped extreme poverty by just sitting there all day and just being a complete lazy bum. I'm sorry to say, you know, if you're watching this, right, do you guys really think that, you know, people who become millionaires, multi-millionaires, and billionaires, do you honestly think those guys work 40 hours a week? Do you think Elon Musk, he just sits there and do nothing at all day? He just maybe scratches his ass while putting on a MAGA hat? No, You know, the people who become corporate executives, the people who become successful entrepreneurs, they all have to put in probably 70, 80, 90, possibly 100 hours a week to achieve their socio and economic status. Because if you're only willing to put in 40 hours a week, what makes you special? How are you going to get to the top 1%, right? You have to be willing to put in the work that other people are not willing to do, right? So it is very common in China. I know some people are exaggerated. Some people say, oh, they work every single day. They have worked for, you know, 5 years with no days off. That's most likely an exaggeration, but it's very normal, right? The Chinese working hours, the 996 was 996, right? 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. And what happens when you have 2 shifts working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week? So basically you can have a construction team going for 24/7 non-stop. That's why they can pump out these buildings so fast. That is how, you know, China escaped extreme poverty. It is by extreme hard work and dedication. That is the only way to escape extreme poverty. If you want to sit on your ass and do nothing, and if you want to just become a baby mama and collect your check from the government once a month, if you want to fake a disability and sit at home and play video games and do nothing all day, you will never ever escape extreme poverty. That is the only way. That is how China is pumping out all of these buildings, because China does not have diversity, equity, and inclusion. And over 90% of Chinese people work extremely hard. That's how China is able to get this done. I understand there are issues. I understand many of these buildings are sitting empty. The buildings behind me, they're probably not 100% full. But I'm just saying that perhaps Canada and the US, they could take a lesson from China, because you guys have a massive housing crisis, right? And you guys need to put up buildings fast. If you guys want to keep putting up these single houses or semi houses or raised bungalows or townhouses, that is not going to do the job. You guys need 50-story apartment buildings. You guys need some skyscrapers in order to fix the massive home shortage. So that's the key takeaway from this video. You know, if you want to get something done in life, if you want to escape extreme poverty, you have to work extremely hard. You know, the 996, sometimes you had to work 997. That is the only way to escape extreme poverty.